I know you feel already enough pressure. You have enough responsibility, but everything depends on you. Oh no, we're all doomed. We hold this place together. And that's what happened in Noah. We're going to read that in a little bit just to kind of see how it connects, the same thing when we go back to Genesis. But recognize that the only thing holding this place together is the covenanted people. Judah believes this as well. The Jewish community believes that the world was created for Torah and that Torah observance holds it together. And the lack thereof tears it apart. So when you wonder about the world's weather change and everything else, it's not global warming, it's not climate change, it's behavior of those who are covenanted and those who are not. I don't know, that seems scriptural the way I'm reading it. More and more disastrous things, natural, quote unquote, natural phenomena are happening. I think it's because of what it says here. For the earth has been defiled under its inhabitants. In other words, the inhabitants have not done the right thing. Now, this doesn't mean that we haven't treated the earth right, because you can read that and stop and then use that to explain all your tree hugging and whatever else you're doing. And I'm not mocking that. But he says, no, it's because they have not kept the Torah. They have transgressed the Torah, changed the law, broken the everlasting covenant. Changed the law. Now, so what do they mean by change the law? Bending, twisting, perverting, or maybe, I don't know, doing away with. We have, I don't know, I can't see how anybody could count, but we only have a small group of people we call Torah observant Israelites. Not just in our little group, I mean worldwide, people that understand Torah, whether they're Jewish or not, in the context of Messiah, who are trying to walk this out. But what percentage of the planet is mainstream Christian? I don't know, about 3 billion. That's about a third. Okay? And so they're part of that done away with crowd. And then what percentage of the ones that are out there, we know the other 2/3 we're dealing with, for the most part, are just doing whatever. They could be doing any other religion, any other system, whatever it's pagan or whatever, or they're secular humanists. It doesn't matter. They're atheists. But I'm worried more about when he says, look, they have broken the covenant, which means they had to be covenanted. So he's actually talking about the covenanted people. See, we could always have that quick reaction to say, oh, it's those guys who don't know and they're just messing it all up for the rest of us. No, he says, you broke the everlasting covenant. You broke. So he's only talking to those whose eyes have been opened, ears have been opened, hearts were prepared to receive, and then chose to do what? Change and transgress the law. The law doesn't change. Okay, the law does not change. Now, therefore a curse shall consume the earth, and those who dwell in it be punished. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth shall be burned, and a few men shall be left. There's that remnant. And why? Don't feel bad, don't get depressed. It's because people like us have screwed it up. It was our responsibility to hold the torch, stand strong, be the ones who stand in the breach. You know the verse where he says he looked for someone to stand in the breach and couldn't find one. We need to do that. We need to stand in the breach. Be the ones that are going to stand and say, this world doesn't go under because of me. Now, it's going to go under because there won't be enough of us, but it shouldn't be because of you. Now, I know you struggle. I struggle. We all struggle. This is not for you to beat yourself up and feel depressed and guilty. But this is to understand that the world is going to go under because, in general, there's a very small percentage. Many are called, but a very small percentage will choose to make the effort. And by the way, it's not here being destroyed because people have made a few mistakes. It's because they have chosen to transgress and to change the law. That's a choice. It's not a mistake. It's not that you slipped up. Okay? Some of you watching or some of you here may have accidentally had a donut or a sandwich this week or something that you shouldn't have had. I've done it in the past. I was at a place where I kept the holy days by myself, didn't have a group really to keep it with many years ago, and I happened to go to work. It was somebody's turn to bring in the donuts, and I just, before I even thought about it, stuck one in my mouth. And then didn't know what to do with it after I'd already taken that bite. Well, of course, I threw out what I realized, but it was too late. But my brain wasn't focused vertically enough and aware enough, and it was too distracted. This is how we mess up, by the way. Can we all agree? We're not focused enough, and we get too distracted. We're not alert to what's going on in the context of it's unleavened bread. I have to be hyper aware of what I eat, especially when I go out. And so, slipped up. And so all of us have those moments. And we're not just talking about eating bread, because somebody's like, well, I've never done that. Well, you've done other things. And that's the point. Excuse me, is that you've done things. And so I don't, again, want you to feel like you're causing the world to fall apart, but recognize we have an opportunity to hold it together until he's ready to return. And he will have some people do that. We go back to the whole, for such a time as this, the Esther thing, if you don't do it, somebody will. Why not you? Why not you making that effort to try to hold this thing together? Because you consider yourself, hopefully, covenanted. And you consider yourself covenanted because you've made covenant. You've agreed to covenant, which is whatever he says, you're going to make an effort to do the best you can. With all your might, with all your strength, with all your being, etc.